Welcome to REIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of REIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing one of their past projects. We will let you decide if it was good or bad or just plain ugly. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is desktop evaluation. Before you ever set foot in a property, you should do a desktop evaluation. This is where you learn as much as you can about the property. You can go to the tax records on your county website to find out the square footage, beds and baths, lot size, year built, the owner's name, how much they paid for it, and when they bought it. Those last three items will help you to determine their emotional and financial attachment to the house. If you see the deed has changed owners, but they all have the same last name, this may be a probate situation where someone passed away and left the property to a son or daughter. If they have owned the property for 30 plus years, then there may be an opportunity for updating. You should also check comps in the area to determine the after repair value, or ARV. If there are recent sales close by, you may want to take down some notes to reference with the seller. If they tell you they want a certain amount for their house because Jimmy across the street sold his house for that same amount, you can point out that Jimmy's kitchen and bathrooms were completely updated and that he has an extra bedroom plus 1,000 extra square feet. Knowing their neighborhood will help to build your credibility. As you're looking at the comps, you can also see what others have done to their homes, so you have an idea of certain renovations that area is calling for. Examples include adding square footage, open floor plans, removing popcorn ceilings, adding a pool, turning carports into garages, etc. Doing a desktop evaluation prior to a property walkthrough, you will gain more confidence when speaking with that prospective seller, thus creating an easier transition to seal the deal. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. I have with us my new friend, Lisa Romano. Lisa is a real estate investor, realtor, coach, and mentor. Lisa is a native of Connecticut and a graduate of the University of Connecticut. Lisa found her love for real estate when building her own home and further solidified it after buying and renovating a beach home. I'm a little jealous. Shortly after, she put her business skills to use and teamed up with her daughter to create a real estate redevelopment company. For the past several years, she has worn multiple real estate related hats, including realtor and investor, focusing on flipping properties and building rental portfolios. Lisa has 8 rental properties in 3 states and continually looks to add more properties. I'm so excited to have her on the show. Welcome, Lisa Romano.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks so much for having me here today.
And we have not met in person yet, but we are coaching together with the Tark Al Musa homeschooled program. And it's like getting a new family member, I'm telling you, because all of us coaches were super tight. And I was like, yay, another lady. So
another one.
Yes.
We connected straight on.
Absolutely. And I'm like, oh, I got to get you on my show. You are awesome. Great things that I like about you is you are a badass realtor and doing all the retail, showing people houses and things like that, correct?
I am. I definitely am. I'm a realtor, focusing on residential aspects of it. Yes.
and you flip houses as well. So it's just, marrying those two together. Me personally, I never want to be a realtor. I don't think I could I have a hard time with them buying my properties at certain price levels. I'm like, I just don't like those type of buyers. But I mean, good for you. That is awesome. So I'm super happy to have you here. And let's talk. Yeah, let's talk real quick about you and your daughter. You guys, you started a business together, correct?
We did.
And her name is Steph.
Her name is Steph. Yep, Stephanie. So we started our real estate investment company together. I had been in corporate management for many years, and she was recently out of school. And at the time, we'd bought a second home, and by we, it's, me and her, but, so technically I bought it. But anyway, we renovated it and, did things, and we just started saying like, this is kind of fun. Like, let's do it. And so anyway, we decided to do it. So I totally changed careers, went into real estate, and, she did the same. And
tell me, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. What did you do in corporate America?
I was in IT software development, and then moved into like the IT management. So systems technology.
And I know a little bit of your history and the transition there. And it's great, I think, for the listeners to kind of hear a little bit about it, where you had this great job and maybe you jumped a little bit too early into real estate.
Well, I think it's, I talk to a lot of students about this, what is the right time, to transition. And it's, I would definitely say that, yes, I probably did, but in some ways it put a lot of pressure on me to succeed. So there's that aspect of it. If that's what you like, I have to say there were many times where that wasn't what I liked. It was like, this is a lot of stress. But there's definitely benefits of, staying with it as long as you can. But if your game is to be a full-time investor, eventually you have to make that break. But I feel like you just have to do it when you're consistently, day after day, project after project after project, replacing your salary.
And I appreciate you being honest and upfront about that, because a lot of listeners are in that stage right now where they're hating their corporate America job and they're like, I want to quit and then start real estate investing. But no, there's definitely that overlap. It took me 8 months. I had a partner who is still working his W-2, so it helped with loans and things like that, just to have that W-2 income in the back. But I think it's important for them to hear.
It does, because there's so many benefits about it. And, every case is different. And like you said, you were able to do it because you had a partner, that had the job behind you. So like I did it as a single person. So it was like, oh, this is like exciting and but it's also like, wow, I've really got to do this on my own now, so every situation is different, because I know many of the students I talk to do have that relationship where their, husband will continue, and, because there's just a lot involved. But like you said, it helps get loans, it helps with benefits. There's definitely things to consider. So, so there's a right way to do it. So
there is. And I really admire you for doing it, because I was talking with Jamie Miller. I interviewed him a couple shows back, and his advice was burn the boats. And I was like, what does that mean?
I heard that. I heard him. I actually liked that interview. It was a great interview.
Yeah. But that makes me think of you. You're like,
oh, it made me think of me too. When he said
those
that,
bitches
and I was
up.
Like, ooh, yeah. And it was kind of funny, because I was like, I don't think that was my goal. He, the way he said it, that wasn't my plan, but it really ended up being the case. So, all things are good. But
yes.
I did laugh when I heard that. I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure I did burn that boat. So it was good. It all works out, right?
Yes, absolutely. Totally does. So we are talking about one of your past projects, and I purposely did not ask you anything about it prior to, we got on, we started chatting, because we're sisters now. We're part of the homeschool family.
We're family.
Yes. And so we were just, shooting the shit before we started here. But so tell me about this property. Give me a little bit of a description. Where is it located? What year is it built? Beds, baths, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, it is a colonial it was in Hamden, Connecticut, which is right outside of New Haven, Connecticut, if anybody knows the area. So kind of south central part of Connecticut. Um, this particular town has quite a few neighborhoods. This neighborhood is very sought after neighborhood. It's very easy access to Yale, the college, as well as the hospital and things like that. So professors, doctors, it's a very nice area that people want. The house was a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,500 square foot colonial with a 1-car garage, which is very common, in this area. It's, older established towns, so it's smaller lots, older colonials.
I want to keep saying older.
I think this was 1940s kind of time frame. I actually don't know why I don't have that. But anyway, so little bit older. So yeah, great little neighborhood, great location. So was.
I love a colonial. We are renovating one next door. It's a Dutch colonial. So it has the gambrel roof on it. And anyway, so I'm a fan of
colonials.
Yes.
Colonials are very popular up here, and they're everywhere. Colonials are definitely mainstream properties up here.
And is it so? Were garages added on, or that was included in the 1940s?
It was a detached garage, and it was included.
Gotcha. Yeah. Interesting. All right. So the neighborhood is well established, sought after. How did you find this property?
So we've had many properties through wholesalers and even MLS. This one actually was a friend of mine who honestly was just a referral. She said, an old boyfriend of mine, inherited this house. He doesn't know what to do with it. So first I said, why are you talking to your old boyfriends? But no, I won't really. So, but anyway, so we laughed about that. But anyway, he grew up here, family, aunt, uncle, I believe it was, but he now lives in Florida, so he was in that quandary. Do I renovate it? Because it definitely needed, it was in living condition, but very, I think everything was original in there. So very dated. So anyway, she said, I was just chatting with him. We were just sort of catching up, and, I literally told him he has to talk to you. So he and I connected, and honestly was a great connection, right from the start.
So let's
he knew. Yeah.
Let's hone in on that for a second, because we talk with students all day long, and you said something important. It was your friend said, you've got to talk to Lisa when she was talking to this guy. And how does she know to tell him that?
Well, she just knows about what I do, and my whole business, and everything else. So again, it's always just keeping people aware of what you do. It's awareness of how you can help people. It's awareness of what you do.
And so how do they know?
We chat about it?
Social media?
This one is actually a very close friend. So we really do talk a lot about, things. So this, but I have had acquaintances, do the same. They're like, I think this is something you can help with, and again, it's just in our normal conversations, you talk about what you do at work, just like I know what they do at work. They know what I do at work.
Because it blows my mind with some students that they are afraid to announce on Facebook that they are real estate investors now. I'm like, what? I got so many referrals through Facebook, through friends, because I post before and after photos. Every person I interact with knows what I do for a living. So anyway, I just wanted to touch on that so that,
that's actually a very good point. And most people think, I think sometimes it gets a negative connotation of being a flipper, but it is different than that. You're redeveloping homes and you're helping people out of situations. So I think of everything as a win-win with that.
Absolutely. Definitely. So this was going to be clearly an off-market property. So there's no asking price, but how did you come up with the purchase price and all that stuff?
So I did all my desk research. It's funny that you did the intro with desk research, because I always do that before I go talk to anybody, right? Because you have all the information right there in front of you. So you know market, sales, condition, there's so much you can see just sitting at your desk. So I pretty much go in knowing about what I want to pay, right? Because we kind of back our way into it. So we go in with that. So basically, we go in and we converse and, all kinds of building rapport and doing all those things. But ultimately I knew what the number was, going in. And we really didn't end up haggling too much on this. We ended up talking a lot about, what kind of repairs, because he was just so torn on whether he should do the repairs himself or should he just, do it and, things like that. So it was more overcoming that than the price. Little bit on the price, but then, well, we'll probably get to it in a little bit, but then he ended up being my lender on it too. So.
Oh, okay. I love these.
Too. Yeah.
I love these type of projects.
It was actually like a great connection. Yeah.
Good. So going into it, you already had determined the ARV, correct? Mm-hmm. So what was the ARV? Everything. What was that after repair value?
I had it at 280.
Okay. And so what did you end up purchasing it for?
140.
Ooh, very nice. And what were the repairs?
Repairs, we estimated at the time 60,000.
Okay. Yep. And what were some of those repairs? Like what does 60,000 entail?
So quick highlight of it. We ended up doing siding, not roof, new kitchen, new bath. We always do kitchen. We always do bathrooms. It had hardwood floors. It had at least, fairly updated windows, not, whatever. They weren't original windows. So there were replacement windows in there at some point. They were a few years old. But we did have to do the mechanicals, like the furnace, water heater, things like that. So we did those things. And then all interior walls, we did some updating to electrical, things like that. So yeah, landscaping, clearing the yard, things like that.
And what was your timeline for the repairs?
Repairs were it was a 3-month window.
Okay. Very nice.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into how you financed it. I love this. So he ended up financing it for you?
He did. So I tend to use private lenders wherever I can. I started using hard money lenders in the beginning, and I still would use them. I just have built enough private lenders right now that I do use them. So he actually had no intention of it, right? I mean, most of them don't go in there just thinking about what to do with the house. So we just started talking about it, and ended up just saying, would you like to make some extra, money on this one? Because you could also be the lender. And then we kind of went through that process on how he would earn interest and, blah, 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 and get paid and, talk through the whole process as far as keeping him, secure and insured. And, there's so much around private lending, which I know is not our focus. But, went through all that and he was in. Yeah. So it was kind of interesting. He lended the entire purchase price.
Okay, and none of the repairs?
No, and then I had a second private lender that did the repairs. So really using other people's money, I ended up being 100% funded on this one.
That is awesome. And what was the interest you paid for the private money?
11% I paid with this, and I don't pay points.
Okay.
I just have not paid points. I pay a higher interest rate. I always stay above the double digits. I feel like, that's at least fair to them. And like I said, I don't pay points. So on this one was an 11%. I've had people ask about points periodically, but I just tell them it's company policy. We don't pay points, and somehow that works. So yeah, they're like, okay, it's company policy, which it is. It is my company policy. So it's my company, my policy. So anyway, but we don't. And again, he was fine with that.
And I'd rather pay a higher percentage rate for private money because it's just so much easier than having to do draws and maybe you still do draws with them, but like with your second private money lender? Nope.
Yeah, no, I actually don't. I agree with you on the private money. I get it all right at the closing. In fact, my attorney just laughs at me because he's like, you're the only person that like buys homes and you walk away with a larger check than the seller. I'm like, yeah, no, I do, right? You know, it's kind of crazy. Because I bring all the lenders in, and usually it's only one or two. But I will have them just do the whole rehab money up front, and therefore, like, it's all, you know, it all goes through the attorney at the closing to purchase it. So then I get the money and then just use it. So it's just easier than doing draws, honestly.
Absolutely.
But what I do provide them, instead of checking with them and giving them, like, I do give them updates, project updates, you know, like depending on what the project length is, but I'll give them like every 2 week or 4 weeks, typically 4 weeks. But I'll show them pictures. I have like some executive, documents that I send to them so that they see it and they feel it. So it's not just like, we gave you the money and we don't hear from you. So
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I always forget to do that. We get the money and you start a project and it's just like, racing through to the finish line. And so that is so smart, because then you're having them be an active part of it and seeing it along and seeing what their money is doing and how you're growing their money. That is so smart, Lisa. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So
yeah, no problem. And every one of them responds. Like, it's not one of those emails that goes away. They all respond and go, this is great. This looks awesome, or, whatever. So it is.
And it ties them emotionally to it. And then you have another private money lender for your next project. I love that. All right. So you get the money, you close, you start rehabbing. There's always surprises. So what happened along the way?
This one was less surprising. I would say I've been surprised on many. I had some where we've torn off half the house and blah, blah, and those are always surprises. It's like, whoa, we're really finding a lot here.
Yes.
But, this one was, like, I would say it was one of our more straightforward ones, but it wasn't one of our early ones. I feel like our surprises were in the early ones. And I say that, like, you still can uncover anything, right? You can pull out a wall and, find stuff. But in the beginning is when we found everything. We're like, whoa, taking off half a house is significantly more than we had expected. And, all those kinds of surprises. Not every contractor can rebuild half a house and, things like that. So this was one of our later ones. So we had less surprises because we're prepared. Every surprise we learn along the way, we somehow turn that into a process or a rule going forward. So you start eliminating your surprises.
Very smart.
So this one was one of our more recent ones. And like I said, it was kind of straightforward. We weren't doing additions or, stuff like that. So,
all right.
But yeah.
So smooth from start to finish.
This one, there's always bumps, just not huge surprises. Like, I don't think any project goes the way we all think they go, right? But this one was never like, hair on fire kind of
Gotcha.
Projects.
All right. So how long? You were estimating 3 months of rehab time. So what was the actual rehab time?
We were in and out on time. Yeah, this one actually was a little bit more, on the mark. So this one we did get in and out in 3 months. We got it staged and put on the market. And because our full begin to end hold time on this ended up being 7 months.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I think we were there 3 to 3.5 months. It was pretty much on target. And then it sold. Or did we have? Yeah. And then it sold quickly.
Good. And do you always stage your properties?
I do now. Yeah. In the beginning, I didn't. But I do now. I do get furniture in. I've got like a lot of the, knick-knack accessory kind of things on my own. So I just like add those in. But I will always bring in furniture and things like that. Yeah.
Okay.
It makes such a difference. First of all, it's great for your portfolio. Just have houses with furniture and stuff in there. And it does it does help the whole marketing perspective for new buyers. They just can visualize it so much more. So I usually focus like living room, master bedroom, kitchens and bathrooms, just, add, things like that. So
smart. Yeah. There's a certain price point where, like the 200,000 price point here in Raleigh, it flies off the market. It's almost a waste of money to go in and stage it. But anything over that, we have found it bumps that price up. It really adds a little bit more emotion to it too. All right. So you finish the project and you list it. What did you end up listing it for?
We listed it for $289,900.
Okay. And how many days was it on market?
It was on market for 4 days when we got the offer, and then we negotiated back and forth, and we ended up coming in at the exact list price. So that was actually good, because that was before this current market. So this was maybe 3 years ago.
Okay. And now, while under contract, were there any inspection issues or anything that came up?
We did not have inspection issues. It's funny that you say that, because we all think of the inspector for the sale, right? The home inspector that comes in. Our issues were not with him. I mean, they will always find something. Right. And in our projects, we find that it's usually things that we didn't touch. Like, I don't, whatever. In this house, I think there were some exterior wires that needed clamps. They weren't tight enough to the house, and things like that. And, just stuff that we really hadn't, even touched or fixed. This particular home, actually, we had issues with the town inspector.
Huh.
To get the CO, so you kind of forget that there's those, we know as investors, but there's multiple inspections going along.
So the CO, by the way, just for the listeners, is the certificate of occupancy. So what was the issue there getting it?
So it's kind of funny, because funny now, it was definitely not funny at the time, but, we requested it. My contractor was there. And so anyway, he gave us a report and said the siding is not right. It's, it won't change with the weather. There's not flexibility. There's this and that. He literally said it all has to be taken down and redone. Like, this is like a two-story colonial. And we were like, taken down, or just like, is there an area? Like, what I mean?
Wow.
Like, we were actually dumbfounded. Like, it was such a large request. And so anyway, needless to say, contractor talked, and then project manager, at the time, talked to him. So then, and I even ended up going in. I'm like, I'm going to be that nice person. I'm going to go in all happy and talk to them, and I'll get this resolved because I can be nice. So I did. I went really nice into the building department and came out really not nice. So yeah, it was bizarre, honestly. And then come to find out, because, I went in, I'm like, somebody has got to come back out. Like, we'll meet you. We'll walk through every piece of this. But to redo the whole thing is not only time consuming, but that's a lot of money. So anyway, then like 2 days later, I get like an email. It's fine. Whatever. You're fine. We gave you the CO. So apparently the inspector at the time, and I don't know that he's still there or not, never got out of the car. He goes, well, this time I came up and looked at it, and it's actually fine. And I'm like, how did you not get out of the car to check siding? But so, wow. Anyway, that was our inspector issue. So literally, I'm so glad that we just kept fighting and fighting and fighting, because it just made no sense that the entire house had to be redone. So anyway.
Wow. Lesson learned.
Push back.
Holy shit. That is
whatever.
crazy.
Like I said, yeah. I probably don't recommend like leaving the building department the way I left it, but whatever. Like, it was just because they were just not even like willing to even talk to us. And then I don't know, somewhere behind the scenes, something changed. But anyway, yeah.
Wow.
So inspectors, there are multiple inspection points that are all equally important.
Yes, definitely. All right. So final numbers, drum roll. I don't have a drum roll sound. Final numbers here. So your estimated repairs, one more time, you said about 60. Is that what you said?
Yeah, they were 60.
And your actual repairs were?
We were in at like 64.
Okay.
So we were very close. Yeah.
Very good. And what was the interest you paid to your private money lenders?
$5,800.
Okay.
5,846 to be exact. Could you tell I have QuickBooks? Yeah. I decided to, be nice and not put pennies on here, but I do have pennies.
But I mean, that's great. So you borrowed their money for how many months was it total?
6.5, not quite 7.
And they made that money just literally sitting in their living room, receiving an email from you every 2 weeks, looking at how the house is being redone. I mean, it's just like, that's such a great way to grow your money. Awesome. Awesome. What were the holding costs?
Holding costs on this one were $3,359.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I love that your numbers are exact. I love that.
they're so exact.
And then commissions. So you were the realtor on the selling side. So
yes, I was the realtor on the sell. There was a buyer's agent. And in total, we paid 4.5%.
Okay.
With more that go into the buyer's agent and sent them. So $13,405 in total in commissions.
Woo.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a lot.
Still good though. Still worth it.
Oh, absolutely. And let's dive into that for 30 seconds here, because there are people who think I'm just going to list it myself on Zillow. Explain the importance of having an agent when you are going through this process.
I mean, I always think it's important to have an agent. I mean, there's just so much to this process. It feels so second nature to us, but it's not to buyers. It's not to sellers. I see it every day with, my clients. So there's so much to prepare a house, prepare yourself to buy a house, the negotiations that realtors give you, the referrals that realtors give you. I mean, because if you don't have good lenders, if you don't have good attorneys, if you don't, have the right inspectors, there's just so much. And honestly, there's so much behind the scenes they do on the process, to get you to the closing table. So yeah, I feel like you lose money if you don't use a realtor.
I agree 1,000%.
Thank you. 1,000%.
Thank you for saying that.
And I can't even tell you at the end. And everybody talks about commission. They always ask commissions, but at the end of it, they're like, you have earned it. I think they're actually shocked. Again, this is in my realtor world, but they're usually like, wow, I have one client we're going to close in like a couple weeks. She's like, you earned every single penny. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, this one I have actually, but it is the truth. Like you do. There's so much more, than they really ever think. So doing it on your own is just tough. Marketing alone is tough, so.
All right. So the sales price, closing costs. What were your closing costs with attorneys?
Closing costs were $4,969.
Okay. And the sales price, one more time?
We ended up right at list, $289,900, really quick. So like I said, as a different market, we probably left a little on the table, but I will try to price them just below market, I don't want to hold them. I want them to go. So, but this one went so fast. I was like, I wonder if I should have sold it higher, but it's okay. We still made our
pricing
money.
is so tough. We just hem and haw over that, and seeing what else is out there, what the competition is. There's so many factors into it. Another reason. There really are. And I've done that where I'm like, I think I can get higher, and I price higher, and it sits and whatever. Even if it sits a month, I don't, our game, we're not trying to hold houses, when we're flipping them. So I'd rather be right at market, or this one I probably suspect was a little bit below for that time, but that's okay. It went super fast. So let's hear it. What was your profit?
Yeah, this one was $40,777. So
did you hear my cha-ching?
Yeah. Did you just do a cha-ching?
I had to find it on I rarely do sounds once I get past my introduction, but 40,000. That is awesome.
Yeah.
You paid zero marketing for this one because this is a referral.
That's right.
You added another private money lender through this experience. Have you used him again for other projects?
I have not, but I will.
Yes.
I'm definitely stayed in touch a bit, here and there. So he's, like I said, he's in Florida, but that's okay. Doesn't matter where he physically is. So.
And you got to know
Yeah.
the inspector department.
Yeah, I know that building department.
The building department. Well, that is awesome.
I sure know them. I haven't been back since that day, but that's okay.
Maybe your picture's
anybody
inside the front door. I love that. Well,
yeah.
Clearly awesome work. Profit of $40,000, $40,000+. So bravo, Lisa. Great job. And thank you for sharing that. There are some great nuggets there. So the second half of the podcast is where you share what makes Lisa Romano a badass. And I use the acronym BADASS. And the first letter is B, and it stands for book. What is a book that has made a huge difference in your life?
I have to say, like, this a book. So when I first got into investing, honestly, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, E-Myth were like basics, right? They just really like.
A lot of people don't talk about E-Myth. I love E-Myth. That was a good one.
Yeah. And and I've read quite a few, about personal
growth
and growth and things like that. But I'm telling you, those are the big ones. But I have to say, lately I've been away. But like, I'm gonna pick up Rich Dad Poor Dad again and kind of just start from the basics again. But to me, those two are like just your core, their foundation.
Yes.
Like if you're thinking about investing, go read them. Yeah, for sure.
So eye-opening.
I'm going to go read them. Because like they're also referred to like crazy in so many webinars and, other people and stuff. And so lately I've been hearing about them again, and I'm like, I'm going to go back and read them.
All right. The first A in badass is advice. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I feel like my best advice ever is, your network is your net worth.
Yes.
And I know so many of these things sound like saying, like little sayings, like people say, do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And, all those things. And they're true. That's true. But like, to me, like network, being your net worth is key. No matter what I do, I try to like surround myself with A people, A players. And honestly, I'm so grounded in relationships. Like that's just me, like, almost to a fault. Like I'll probably like maybe let things go a little bit, but anyway, but relationships are so important to me. Like a good contractor is so worth your weight in gold. I get probate listings from, my wholesaler who I've got like a great relationship with. And, I do my own marketing, my attorney, I refer over and over and over and over again. Like I can't tell you how many people I've sent his way, and the same thing with lenders. So really it is building that network. Even as I talk to the students, I'm like, build your team, call it, you don't have to call it, I don't call everybody a network, but that's really
be your tribe.
Your tribe. Yeah. I say, yeah. I definitely, tell them, go build your team, whatever. That person, one student just went to talk to the building department. They're part of your team now. Building departments are part of your team. Be nice to them. Did I just say that? No, anyway. But really, I do feel like that's surprising, sometimes how much you literally, sometimes I'll go round and round, and then I literally reach out to one person and it's like, wow, that is my network and that's my team. And, they unspin me and get me going and send me. It's how I got to be a coach. It's how I met you. You know what I mean? Like it leads to so much. So, and
you and I had so many friends in common. Our network was so intertwined, yet you and I had never met prior to that, prior to you starting coaching. But yes, I totally get that. And my network, when I first started, we had a local group, and that is what kickstarted everything, by leaning on my new team of investors, in the area. So So very important. This is not anything you want to do on your own, and it's not cutthroat either. That's what shocked me is I would think people were going to be fighting over the same properties, but it's like, nope, that's going to be a better fit for you. Or they get something and say, hey, I think let me wholesale it to you because you might be better at this type of project. It's so very important, and it's only going to push you even further in your business. So excellent advice.
Yeah,
I love that.
I agree.
All right. The D in badass is drive. What drives Lisa to be successful?
My success driver, like if you know me at all, you're
Did you say sex drive?
Yes, success. I don't think I said sex, did I? Because that would be
your sex drive. What?
That would be a different podcast.
Totally different podcast.
Totally different. But anyway, we regress a little bit. Anyway, I would actually say my success, I'm going to say. Like, I feel like it's always been my daughter, and I know that sounds like so strange, but it probably sounds very cliche too. It's like you can't come up with anything else, but really, like, I'm a single mom, so it's just always been a driving force for me. Like, just like, kind of moving her forward, doing whatever. And then we, came together as, she was an adult, and we started the investment company, and now we have rental portfolios. And like, so she just continues to drive me, and she continues to succeed on her own, which is like awesome and amazing. Like we've got this investment company, but as realtors, we're very, I guess, different, but parallel paths. She's very, she's brokering industrial properties right now. Oh my God, she loves it. Like,
wow.
Loves it. Like, so she's, doing really well with that. And then I do the residential, and then we have this investment aspect that we do together. But I do have to say, like, like I said, she's just constantly, your kids just make you want to be better, right? You want to be better for them, and you want to, so, I mean, we all have our own, we want to be successful. So we financially can do what we want to do, but truly I love every day that I get to work with her. And so I don't know.
Well, she's lucky to have you as a mama.
Thanks.
That is awesome.
And then so we so I'm kind of looking forward to, like, we continue to build rentals and talk about that and build a portfolio. And she's got a little 2-year-old, Jude. So hopefully, like, legacy always sounds, kind of huge, but, I really would love, someday for him to be, like, taking over there. So I gotta start building it even more now.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah. All right. The second A in badass is aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
Actually, I am right now working on all my goals for the investment company for 2022. And I say that because I'm really stepping back, through COVID and everything. The realtor activities were much more prevalent. But now I'm really stepping back and really rebranding the company, refocusing the whole thing. So, but one of the goals that I really have for the, where we go in the future is really leveraging other people. So sourcing. So, I always say other people's money, and like I said, we just talked about private money, and I love using other people's money because I think it's a win-win for them. Mm-hmm. But I want to start doing the same thing with other people's time. So that is really like sourcing and using assistants and, things like that. Like, I definitely need to, like, give away, again, when I talk about relationships, I just changed, I have a short-term rental property in Florida, and just changed property managers on that. That was the goal for this year, to get that one, just back to being super profitable, which meant I had to find the right person, the right, whatever. We did renovations and things like that. And I swear to God, it was eye-opening, because I went from managing a management company to barely spending 2 hours a month on these properties. So that's really my goal, is really to figure out how to use other people. And again, it's really surrounding yourself with the right people.
I love that. I'm such a control freak. It's so hard for me to let go. So,
I know it's hard, but I'm telling you, in fact, I actually just talked to my, the property manager just before this, and, he was talking about 2022 changes and and I was like, you do what you need to do, because honestly, unless you send me an email, I don't pay attention anymore. And that was not the case before. So, it really frees up your time, and that particular property is significantly more profitable. Like the less I don't know if there's a correlation, but I paid less attention to it and it makes more money. So
where is it in Florida?
Panama City Beach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm a Florida girl. I grew up down there.
Did you? Yeah.
Yes.
But we'll have to have a off-site meeting down there or something.
Yes, because we are sisters now. But I've never been to Panama Beach, honestly. I was a South Florida girl, so I never been to the beaches up there. I had
not been, before. I had some friends from Georgia that have places down there. It is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fun. And it's fun and crazy, whatever. But yeah, the beaches there are like stunning.
Good to know. All right. The first S in badass is systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
Systems. You have so many systems as an investor. I guess as anything really, even as a realtor, I'm trying to always improve those systems. But I think the one that helps me the most is the one around our due diligence. So it's knowing your numbers. So our, real estate is very emotional to many people, but as investors, it's a number to us. And even as a realtor, I've got a couple investor clients, and they're like, I know this neighborhood is worth more. And I'm like, data doesn't tell me. We're looking at the past 3 to 6 months. I'm not, so knowing your numbers is really important. So all the processes around, I think I talked a little bit about it earlier. I know my numbers before I go to the seller.
Right.
Go to a meeting. If it's an REO or whatever, that there's not applicable. When I meet with private sellers, I know my numbers. So the systems around there are key. And it's not really, I just know the number that I'm going to buy it at. I know the number I'm going to sell it at. And that's actually where I start. What am I going to sell this property at? About what am I going to rehab it for? And then that leads me into what I'm going to buy it for. So those systems are crucial in any, investment company.
Definitely. And what would you tell someone who's just getting started in this about numbers? Do you have any nuggets for them?
About numbers? I think... nugget. Let me see. So I actually
numbers don't lie. I have to tell students that all the time. The numbers don't lie. Stop getting emotional. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I definitely do talk about removing the emotion. Because we all do it, right? We're like, look at that. Oh my God, it's and then you run the numbers and you're like, the number doesn't stay with your emotion. But I definitely tell people to remove the emotions. I talk to them a lot about not only knowing your number, but, there's 3 points of investing, right? We buy, we rehab, and we sell. And buy is where you make your money. Nobody believes me on that.
Yes.
I actually have a partner in some of our rental properties, and he and I talk, and he's like, you make it on the sell? No, I don't. I get it on the sell. I make it when I buy. That's when you make your money. So your numbers could not be more important. And knowing what to sell it at when you start is really key, because you're not holding it for 10 years. You don't have to, look into the future and guess what you're going to sell it for. The data tells you, you're usually within 6 months.
Right.
Is there going to be a small change? Yeah, but you know what you're selling it for.
Well said. Thank you for saying that. All right. The final S in badass is success. What does success mean to you?
Success means, I had to think kind of hard on this one, honestly, because I feel the most successful when I'm content. And I mean that not in a hey, laid back kind of way. When you've worked with a seller and this deal was there was so much contentment at it every step. So he was comfortable with the purchase. So again, win-win. He was comfortable with lending, win-win. Our contractors, ended up working out really good. So it's really like contentment in like, it's not only benefiting me, like I'm benefiting them. This particular one, because it was a family home, he brought in cousins and aunts and like so when we do private sellers, we bring them back. And when they see the properties, like we've had people in tears, like just tears, like so thankful. And I don't know. So like, I couldn't put another word on it other than content. Like you just feel like you've done the right thing. You've done the right thing for them. And, yeah.
I love it. Well said. That is very well said. And you had touched on it earlier by saying how real estate investors have, bad connotation out there. People think they're creepy, whatever. But the truth is, we truly have that opportunity to help people to, see things, visualize, where you can take a property, things like that they could never visualize. And, for this family, you did so much for them, and win-wins all around. So thank you, Lisa. Yes.
Oh, you're welcome.
Very, very well said.
I agree.
Yeah. So this has been awesome. I'm so happy to have you on here. I can't wait to have you on again. Your project was a slam dunk, clearly. How would people find you online if they want to connect with you?
Yeah, the best way right now is going to be email. Like I'm revamping all of our social media. Like I said, I'm really redoing the whole investment company. But you can just email me at lisalromano@gmail.com. And that's definitely, I'll get back to you for sure.
Well, you are awesome. And I'm so happy to have you as a
This was good.
member. Yeah, super
This
fun.
was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Badass has a lot of letters. I got to say that. So when I was like, another S one. So,
I know. I'm like the first
this
A.
was a lot of fun.
The
second
first
A,
A.
I know. I was laughing. I'm like, could we have just done bad or, So,
well, you are a badass. That's why we had to do the entire word. So thank you, Lisa. And listeners, thank you for listening. And we will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.